hopefully you have actually felt your body relax. The more you do this, the more you practice correct breathing, the more you will be able to relax your body and then focus on this mindfulness technique as well. So now you're going to concentrate on your breathing only, and it's a form of meditation. A lot of people find this really hard because while they're focusing on their breath, they're also focusing on something that they see, something that they hear, something that they can smell. So I want you to focus purely on your breath. Close your eyes if you need to, because that'll help you focus on your breathing only, and listen to the sound of your breath. Feel your balloon inflate, holding it, and deflate that balloon. As you are breathing out, imagine breathing your stress out of your body as well. So you're going to take a deep breath in to the count of 5. Gently breathe out. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, when we combine breathing with mindfulness, the idea is to let those thoughts go through your head. Don't latch onto a particular thought. As they come in, let that thought go. And you are going to try and focus purely on the breathing, purely on breathing in and out to the count of 5, holding it for a few seconds, breathing out to the count of 5. And the more you practice, the more you'll be able to breathe in slower to a higher count, hold for longer, and exhale to a longer count. And regular practice of mindfulness studies have shown it can lead to a massive, massive reduction in your stress levels as well. We have a really nice recording on the ACE website, on the ACE section on ReGenesys, for those of you who'd like to know more about mindfulness under the Wellness Wednesdays. And we also will be holding more classes on mindfulness as well from Wellness Wednesdays coming up with ACE and Healthy. So you're welcome to join one of our mindfulness classes just to learn how to relax and how to quieten your monkey mind down. But I do encourage all of you, everyone stresses about something or another. It's a really, really good technique just to take a 2-minute break and calm things down in your mind. And hopefully your monkey mind will end up looking like this. So I go from monkey mind now to having more energy levels, from one extreme to the other. How many of you would like to have more energy? What does more energy look like to you? And this is the physical intelligence trifecta, really. We want to be able to have more physical activity. We need to have the correct nutrition, and we need to get enough sleep. Now, sleep seems to be the holy grail for all students because you work, you probably have family responsibilities, and you have to study after work and study after you put the kids to sleep. So when does one sleep? But you actually need to schedule in your sleep time. You need to schedule in your physical activity. You need to watch what you are putting in. And I often equate nutrition like a high performance vehicle. If you put the wrong form of petrol in to a fancy car, your car's not going to go as well. If you put diesel into a petrol car, well, you've just killed your entire engine. And the same thing with your body. The more junk food you put into your body, the more sluggish your body will be. The healthier, more nutritious things that you put into your body, the better your body will perform. And we need a healthy body in order to do what our mind wants. I asked you last week to find your why. I hope you all did that little exercise with yourself and did that little self-reflection. What is your why? Well, you won't be able to achieve your why without the necessary healthy body to help you achieve that. So making time for movement. We need to have at least 30 minutes, 3 to 5 times a week. 30 minutes of movement. whether it's a high impact cardio session, whether you're into boxing or Taibo or Zumba or whatever it is, even if you're just dancing for 30 minutes, or if you, like me, you prefer the more gentler variety of exercise, Tai Chi, yoga, a slow walk somewhere, go out into nature or a park, 30 minutes of activity a week. For those of you who are lucky enough to have a watch that tells you get up and move, it's important to now listen to your watch to say, if it says get up and move, it means you've been sitting on your bum for too long and your body is now impacting on its spine. Add variety to your exercise. Get creative. Recruit a workout buddy. They call it a workout buddy. I call it someone who will make sure that I am accountable, because it's easy to go, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Whereas if you've got someone that you are meeting at the gym somewhere or at a park somewhere, you want to make sure that you are there, because you can't let someone down. It's always easier to let yourself down than to let someone else down. And challenge yourself. We spoke about setting goals, and we're going to talk about setting our SMART goals later on this evening. It's really important to set goals around exercise, around getting healthier. Use a tracker. Lisa spoke about SMART goals last week around how you need to track you need to measure. As part of being a SMART goal is that measurement tool, measurement aspect. You need to make sure that you track yourself, challenge yourself, hire a personal trainer. We have, for those students who are in the Gauteng, Johannesburg area, we have a gym on campus called Healthy, and we have fantastic specials running for our students as well. So if you are in the Johannesburg area, we have specials on campus for our students with a fully functional gym as well. So give the green light to train. Make sure that you are moving all of the time. Now, my favorite topic, water. Hydration, you need to aim for 2 to 3 liters per day, or 35 mils of water per kilo of body weight. When that picture is not a suggestion, tea and coffee and energy drinks and juices that are packed with sugar is not adequate hydration. You need to make sure you are drinking pure H2O. We are lucky enough that our water is in South Africa, in most places, is still drinkable. Tap water is perfectly fine. If you are one of those people that doesn't like drinking water, I encourage you to maybe zhuzh up your water, put some slices of cucumber or strawberries, or maybe a slice of orange or a slice of lemon into your water. That's okay, but you need to drink H2O. You need water to build, rebuild, and rejuvenate cells, especially your brain cells. It needs you to drink water and to keep hydrated. Fueling decision-making with smart food choices. Ever heard of the comment, you are what you eat? And like I said, high-performance vehicle. If you put in the wrong petrol or the wrong fuel, your vehicle will not run as well. And the same thing goes with your body. So not all calories are equal. Make sure that you are not eating fake calories. You need to have nutritious food. You need to make sure that your metabolic state can keep up with your mental state. I encourage especially students who are working late hours, your omegas. So your fish is really good for your brain function. So if you can have omega-rich foods, go for that. Make sure you're getting your equal amount of nutrition in terms of your protein, your fats. Not all fats are created equal, and not all fats are bad either. There are healthy fats. So you need to make sure that you are getting everything that you need, regardless of whatever diet you're on. So whether you're vegan or vegetarian or paleo or keto, whatever diet you're on, or you're like me, I'm on a seafood diet, so I seafood and I eat it. You need to make sure that whatever food you are eating is healthy and in proportion, and you are eating the correct foods. Now, sleep. Anybody feel like they're not getting enough sleep? right? Everyone, we always go, oh, I wish there were extra hours in the day. Or when you're lying in bed, you go and the alarm goes off. 5 more minutes is what you want. But it's really important to develop correct sleeping habits. And you need to establish a consistent sleep schedule. Your body is used to routine. Your body likes routine. So if you're used to getting up and going to bed at different hours, your body's going, hold on, what's going on? And for those of you who have little children, you know how important it is for children to have a correct sleep routine or a good sleep routine. They know when bedtime is. It's usually followed before story time or bath time. And then there is a routine that they follow before they go to sleep. They know this happens, the next thing happens, then it's sleepy time. And as we become older, as adults, we actually forget about this routine, and we are so busy with so many things that we have to juggle that we forget that we, as adults, need a consistent sleep schedule. Often, insomnia has become the buzzword for most adults. We struggle with falling asleep because, again, our minds are overly active. We are overstimulated with blue screens. We often play on our cell phones just before bed, or we watch TV in bed, and we struggle to fall asleep because our minds are still so connected and overstimulated. So it's important to create a relaxing sleep environment as well. Establish a consistent sleep schedule and limit stimulants such as electronics before bed. Okay. Lisa, how am I for time? Do we go for a 5 or a 10-minute break tonight?
I think you can give them a 10-minute break. It's 6 o'clock right on the dot tonight. So I think
Lisa?
Melissa, hello.
There we go. Hello. I'm going to just move you across to camera on. There we go. Welcome.
Thank you. Good
All right.
evening. Yes.
So Lisa is going to be taking the second section of this, which is your FQ, your financial quotient. So Lisa, over to you.
Thank you and welcome. I'm just going to have Melissa go to the next slide for me. And then, as she says, we are actually talking about the financial quotient tonight. And my section is going to be about budgeting. And so I want you to sit back and I want you to just listen for a few moments. And we're going to talk about a budget, because a budget is actually part of your financial plan. And if you listen carefully, I'm also going to explain to you how you can write some very smart goals for budgeting and your financial quotient. I am going to turn off my camera because I can see that it's actually flickering on my side. I'm not sure if it's flickering on everybody else's side, but I don't want to disturb you or distract you. So, first of all, before we get into budgeting, I've seen there's a few questions in the Q&A. This, once again, is personal mastery. Personal mastery, and if you wait just a little bit longer, Melissa's going to go through your personal development plan for you, and she's going to talk to you about your personal development plan and how we actually formulated here for personal development and for personal mastery. You don't have an assignment. Maybe some of you didn't hear that. This is not spiritual and emotional intelligence. It is actually personal mastery. And there has been a little bit of misunderstanding because we do actually call those courses spiritual and emotional intelligence, which is a component of personal mastery. Once again, this is to develop you as yourself. And one of the most important aspects that we are proud of here at ReGenesys is actually our financial quotient. And we actually believe that we can all learn. But how do we learn? We have to start while we're at the beginning. And most of us, some of us do, but some of us don't. We budget. Why do we budget? We want to identify wasteful expenditure. We want to adapt to our financial changes, because once and all our lives, we don't always have the exact same finances coming in as going out. We also want to achieve financial growth, and we want financial freedom. Melissa will often say to you, if you are so rich like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, then you don't need to be here. Otherwise, listen up. Also, we budget to reduce stress. And also, it allows us to plan for short and long-term goals, as well as mapping out our expenditures to match our goals. And also, it prevents debts. So in the next slide, first of all, we have to look at the elements of what's on a budget, on a personal budget. One of those things is income. Then we have fixed expenses, flexible or variable expenses, unplanned expenses, and savings and investments. When we want to create a budget, we have to, first of all, get in our mind the goals we want to do. We want to have our savings, but we also want to have financial freedom. So I'm going to explain to you about financial goals and outlining your financial goals. Okay, because you have short-term financial goals. Next slide, Melissa. Short-term goals, financial goals, mid-term financial goals, and long-term financial goals. First, you have to have a clear idea of what your financial goals are. Are you trying to reduce your debts? Are you planning something for your future? Do you want to increase your wealth? And when you have a clear idea of what your goals, then that makes budgeting easy. And you can categorize them in three main areas: short-term, intermediate, and long-term. Less than a year is short-term. Intermediate is like 2 to 3 years. And then long-term is usually your investments. When you're looking at your goals, in short-term, you obviously want to reduce debt. Everybody wants to get rid of their debt, first of all. And that comes from your wages or your salary. In your intermediate, you wanting to start accumulating assets. You want to start getting a house. You want to start getting a car. And it also comes from your salary and your wages. And then long term, you're wanting to actually save up for a rainy day, or you're also wanting to see for the future. And that's when you start talking about investments. Okay. When we talk about a plan, and we want it to also be smart. Remember, we talked about it not too long ago, last week. What is our SMART goals? Well, we're going to talk about SMART goals tonight, specifically for financial issues and to plan for the future. There we go again. Not only do we have SMART goals and that they were specific for us, we also want to make sure that they're strategic as well as being significant. Not only do we want them to be measurable, we want them to be meaningful as well as motivational, and attainable, achievable, and adjustable, as well as being relevant, realistic, and giving us the result we want. And finally, timely and tangible, that we can actually see it, okay? So when we talk about budgeting, we need to remember to go back to our goal setting. Is your goal specific? Is it measurable? Does it have an action plan? Is it achievable? Is our goals realistic? And do they have a time limit? Okay, this is the fun part. The fun part now is how to draw up a budget. You need to first work out what your income is, because if you don't have any money, then you're not going to have anything to actually know where your source of income is. You have to know what income you have. That can be your wages as salary. It even includes anything you might do as a side hustle. Maybe you do extra planning, or you help a friend, you have a car business, you have any kind of extra business that gives you income. That's what you have to know first of all, is your income. Then you need to figure out your expenses. This is the most important part of your budget, because if you don't know how much money is going out, you can't actually allocate how much income you're going to put to different things. You need to take out and figure out where you are spending your money. You need to start to observe your spending patterns. And when you start to observe this, this is when you're able to look at what your expenses actually are doing. There's two main groups of expenses. You have fixed expenses and flexible expenses. Remember, fixed expenses is rent or any other income that remains constant, stays the same, that you have to pay for rent, your house, your car. Every month you have to pay for that. That is fixed expenses, and you have to be able to cover that with your income. Then you have your flexible expenses. And just now we'll talk about how you can save by looking at your flexible expenses. For example, your food, your entertainment, DSTV, streaming services, and cell phones. Because remember, a lot of us lack the flexible expenses. And lots of times we have people that really like the expensive gadgets, especially gentlemen. I know because I'm married and I know men love those gadgets. But sometimes you don't have to have the highest or the best, whatever gadget there is. You can actually get the mediocre or the other one until your income actually catches up with it. But flexible is where you can actually learn to budget properly. Other expenses. This is where also, this is the wants when you want to eat out. You want to take the movies, you want to have dates, you want to have electronics, and your unplanned expenses. But you need to budget for your unplanned expenses because you can have emergencies. And these are for any unplanned events. Maybe you have to buy tires for your car because they've had a blowout. And you need to also remember your savings and investments. Save for the rainy day, save when you're older. And then also charitable donations if that's the way you're inclined. So when you're planning this budget, you need to find out what the difference is, okay? Once you figure out your income and your expenses, all that is left is then for you to add both figures and subtract your expenses from income. If you have either a budget surplus or a budget deficit, will be determined by the amount that you subtract. For example, if you look at this slide, when you have a budget surplus, it means you have a positive number after deducting your expenses. That means that your budget isn't a good sign. And like that lady happily handing over her credit card for her meal, her extra lattes, or whatever she's drinking and eating with her friends, that means you're living within your means. She's very happy. If you have a budget deficit, this means that you have deducted your expenses and you've come up with a negative answer or a negative number. And then you're looking like our poor gentleman who's very sad. And this is a bad sign. This means you are probably living beyond your means. It shows that you are barely covering your expenses. However, there is a way to look at things, and you don't need to be worried because there's a nice 50-20-30 rule. And that basically says that spend 50% of your earnings on fixed costs. Remember, fixed costs are your house, your car, school fees, things that are fixed every month that you can't change it. If you have debit orders for insurance, you can't go and say, I'm going to change it. So 50% of what you earn, you should be putting for fixed costs. Then 20% of your income are for your financial obligations. That is for when you're wanting to save for your retirement and emergencies. Like if something happens, maybe you own an animal and you have to take them to a vet. That's an emergency that you haven't planned for. Maybe you have a car, it breaks down. You have to actually pay for that. That wasn't part of your normal fixed cost. Okay. This is the important one. The 30% is on flexible expenditure. Remember, flexible means that we can play with it. That's entertainment, groceries, fuel, etc. What I'm saying about groceries, you don't have to buy the most expensive food, because if you buy the most expensive food, you are actually going to pay a higher amount. Maybe for 1 month, then you look at groceries that are just the normal staples. You can save up in another month, but that is one way you can actually save money. So that's why we say spend 30% on flexible, and that's the one that you must look at where you can actually gain money, if I can say it that way. I'm now going to let you listen to a very interesting gentleman, and he's going to explain the 50-20-30 rule to you.
Creating a budget can be a super daunting task. Who in their right minds would ever look forward to cutting back on entertainment, luxury, and food in their lives? But the more you save now through budgeting, the better off you are later in life, especially in an emergency. To create your first budget, you're going to have to prepare for budgeting by being honest with yourself. Gather your paychecks, bank statements, credit card statements, and receipts for the past 3 to 6 months. Then crunch the numbers to see how much you really make and where you spend the most money. You can get as detailed or as automated as you want in this process, but the more you analyze now, the more accurate your budget will be. Next, you're going to have to set a goal for each category of spending. Some of these categories include rent and housing, utilities, transportation, food, personal care, and taxes. However you define your categories of spending, you should use your previous analysis to set percentages and goals for spending and saving. There's no hard and fast rule for how much to spend in each area, but using common sense, you should allocate enough money towards necessary bills first, like housing and utilities. Next should come your other expenses, and finally, discretionary spending. You should also keep in mind how much money you could use towards a savings goal like retirement or an emergency fund. The ultimate goal is to achieve a balanced budget, or in other words, your expenses should always be equal to or lower than your income. After all, you don't want to go bankrupt, right? Well, if that means cutting back in certain areas, like cable television or daily coffee, then it's a sacrifice that you should make. Stay on course for the first few months, and remember, you can always refine your budget along the way. So in 2 minutes, you just learned how to successfully create your first budget. For more information and resources on budgeting, visit our website at 2minutefinance.com. I'm Bobby Lee with 2 Minute Finance. Thanks for watching.
Okay, we were very quick. That was 2 minutes, but we'll also post it. We'll also post it into the chat. There's another video, but remember, on ReGenesys, there is also going to be where you can get your material. There's lots of videos. They talk about the 50-30-20 rule as well on your videos in cycle 3. So you can go on ReGenesys and watch them. And then we're just going to say another quick one. Let's see if our technology will allow us to play the second one, which we'll also post on ReGenesys after the session.
Creating a budget. This video will discuss the 7 steps to creating a budget, the 50-20-30 rule. It doesn't matter how much money you have, one of the most important things you can do to manage your money is to budget. If wrapping your arms around such a mighty task seems difficult, don't worry. This video will provide you with step-by-step instructions on how to budget and ideas to make the act of budgeting part of your routine. Step 1. Track your income and expenses. It's time to do a little journaling. Not the Dear Diary type, but the kind that deals with numbers. Tracking your income and expenses is best achieved with a money journal. A money journal can be a notebook and pen, a spreadsheet, or any on or offline tool that works for you. Every time you receive money, note that as income. Every time you spend, note that as an expense. Voila, step 1 is done. Step 2. Set your income baseline. We need to answer the question, how much can we afford to spend? Let's find your income. The most common form will be from employment, but others could include money you've saved for college, family contributions, scholarships, grants, or gifts. Student loans can be considered a form of income, but they should be used sparingly and only for essential education-related expenses. No credit product, like credit cards, can be considered a form of income. Jot down all your income sources, add them up, and this is your income total, also known as your baseline. Step 3. Determine your expenses. Figuring out your monthly and annual expenses will be achieved in 3 ways. The first way is by looking back. Grab your last 3 months of checking or credit card statements and see where you spent your money. The second way is by looking forward. Budget for your fixed expenses. For example, a 12-month lease with payments of $400 a month is fixed for the next year. Other fixed expenses could include internet dues, car payments, and childcare. Variable or unexpected expenses include things like groceries and utility bills. The third way to determine your expenses is achieved with your money journal. You'll see after a few months of tracking where your money is going. Use that data to analyze your spending. Step 4. Categorize your income and expenses. This step is entirely up to how detailed you want to manage your budget. If you want to budget for groceries, you could simply create an expense category for the food you purchase from grocery markets. Or if you want more detail to your budget, you could track how much you spend on milk, meat, vegetables, desserts, and so on. Be as detailed as you'd like. At minimum, we suggest breaking your income into categories of employment, family contribution, and student loans. And your expenses, at minimum, should include categories of housing, food, transportation, education, and non-essential expenses. However, if you have other large budget items, be sure to make categories for those as well. Step 5. Compare your income to your expenses. You may have learned that you should balance your budget, which means your income and expenses should be equal. In reality, you should strive to have more income than expenses. Obviously, having more expenses than income is an unsustainable lifestyle. Think of ways to cut your expenses. Step 6. Make plans for unplanned expenses with a cushion. Building your savings is vital to keeping you financially afloat. If you have a car, you probably budget for maintenance and gas, but you might not budget for a surprise expense like a new alternator. That is where your rainy day fund comes in and saves the day. Your rainy day fund is an emergency fund for unexpected expenses. Without these savings, you may have to use a credit card, and that could turn into a more costly expense if you cannot pay it off right away. Step 7. Turn your budget into a document of freedom. Many people mistakenly think their budget is going to limit their ability to spend and enjoy life. Not so. If you know that buying a new clothing item, seeing the newest movies, or getting a $5 specialty coffee really makes you happy, then make them guilt-free special occasions that fit within your budget. Now that we have the 7 steps defined, consider following the 50-20-30 rule when budgeting. 50% of your income goes to essential expenses like housing, transportation, and groceries. 20% of your income is focused on building your savings and paying off high-interest debt. 30% is for lifestyle choices, things like cell phone, entertainment, and going out to eat. Now you've got the outline of a budget. Start filling in the numbers, and you'll be on your way to creating a budget.
Okay. I hope you've enjoyed our 2 videos. And remember, we are going to post them on ReGenesys. We will show you what we're actually going to be talking about. I am now going to give you a little bit of a nugget. Listen carefully. You don't have to use this particular planner. I'm going to give you 3 templates that you can consider. Everybody budgets differently. It's like everybody has different ways that they plan. Everybody has different goals. What I'm saying is that you will be able to see it on ReGenesys, and if you would like to use it to budget, then you are more than welcome to. You will not be penalized if you do it. But I will give you a top tip. It is very easy to get top marks for one of your evidences, because when we talk about your personal development plan just now, for personal mastery and for the financial portion of it, the budget and a planner is exactly the same thing, and it's wonderful evidence. And it's one way to start budgeting and planning your budget. If you look at the one that's on your screen, and if you pop your screen out a little bit, you'll be able to see you start with your income. You can put it on any way that looks better for you, how it suits you, but that's where you start. Put your income in, because that's how much money you actually have. If you have a salary, put your salary in. Maybe you have a second job. Maybe you have a side hustle. Maybe you have 2 side hustles. Then add that column in, or that row in, and then you add all that income up. First, then look at your fixed expenses, your rent, your mortgage, your utilities. That's what you do from the municipality, lights and water. your internet or your cable, streaming, and we call your fixed expenses aren't really in this country, except if you are from ESCOM, you get a monthly thing and it doesn't usually change for like if you have a fiber line. That's fixed expenses. Cell phones, on the other hand, are variable because each month you can determine how much money you spend on your cell phone. And one of the things that you can decide to do is maybe go not on a contract, but pay as you go. And then you know how much money you spend. If you have children of any age, or if you are, or if you tend to go towards TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, and you love social media, that variable expense can get quite high and you can start to save money there. So that's why I put that, usually the cell phone, under the variable expenses. As I said before, groceries. Sometimes you might want to splurge and have a wonderful meal, and you might want to spend money and have the top cut of steak, or you might want to have the best vegetables out there. However, if you're trying to save money, you can also go and use the cheaper cuts, or the more, not asparagus. You could have carrots, for example. If you're dining out, takeaways take a lot of money out of your food, out of your budget, and out of what you could be eating, your food budget. Entertainment. Maybe if you're trying to save money, don't go to live events. Don't go to the soccer match. Don't go to a rugby match. Rather, watch it if you have a DSTV. If you're wanting to save money, DSTV, you can stop it. But make sure that when you're looking at your variable expenses, that you can reduce that amount. Don't forget about your savings and investment. You need an emergency fund. Everybody has a rainy day. Everybody has bad days, things that we don't plan to do. Put money away. And you need money for your retirement. Then your debt payments. Unfortunately, debts, we all have them. A lot of people have student loans. A lot of us have credit cards. A lot of us have children's school fees. You're going to have to make sure that you cover that as well in your budget. Okay. Then once you do everything, take your total income, your total savings, your total expenses, and your total debt payments. That then is your net, what you have left. And if you spend wisely, you can save fiercely and you can budget boldly. If you look at the next template, you can also get these anywhere. This one is a nice one if you're one of those people that like to write out your monthly plan. Like you want to put exactly how much on this date I spent. And some people like to see where they're spending their daily spending. So you write out your monthly income again, then you write out your expenses. The same way, you actually then take your income, what you budgeted, your savings and your expenses, and you can see the difference. Why I'm showing you, everybody budgets differently. The whole point is that you budget. And also, and I'm now going to tell you about the last one, is one that you can see it even differently. Some people just like it in columns. They look like something that an accountant likes. Everything's there, and they can also subtract and you can add. But you know what? There's one on Excel. And I'll also put that link in ReGenesys. And what's beautiful about the Excel one is that you can play with the figures. You obviously can't make more money, but you can actually work and see, if I save this much in my variable expenses, then I will be able to achieve this. If I change my cell phone as pay as you go, I can save a lot of money, because sometimes our contracts are exceedingly high. Then that is a way to save money. Remember, in personal mastery, we're giving you the tools and the mechanisms. We're not actually saving. We're not actually saying that you have to do it a particular way. You get to choose how you want to save. Then, why and how to stick to your budget? Do not spend money you don't have. That's easy to say, hard to do. Always use a grocery list. Why do I say that? Because if you go to the supermarket or Checkers or Woolworths or wherever you're going, and you go up and down the aisles and you're hungry and you don't have a grocery list, everything goes into the basket and it goes skyrocket. I love 60/60, not only because I'm always working, but also it limits me to 35 items in my chart thing. It makes me plan what meals I'm going to have at how much. And I mean, you can even get a subscription for a month that they charge you 99 Rand if you're in the bigger areas, that they'll give you delivery if you have over 350 Rand. That 350, that 99 Rand saves me my petrol. It also saves me not buying things that I don't really need. Even if you can't use 60/60, or if you're in another area, you have Woolies Dash, what you can do is limit yourself to only the essentials, the 35 items that really you need. And you can start to be creative with your groceries. You can be creative with your cooking. It's one of the ways to save money. Keep and review all your receipts. Sometimes we just don't know where our money's going. You might be surprised at how much money you might be spending when actually, if you would save it, you would stop doing that, because you'd say, oh my goodness, if I go to Kentucky Fried Chicken 3 times a week, I'm spending X amount. What if I only treated myself and rewarded myself 1 time a week or once a month? And that's when you start to play with your budget and you start to get financial freedom. And number 4, track your impulse purchases. Impulse purchases. I don't know if you know what those are. Those are those wonderful things that catch your eye and you find out, oh, I have to have that. I don't want to think about it. I don't need it. I just want it. That's an impulse. Because if you had thought about it and you walk around it and you go back and you think, do I really need it? Could I not? Do I have to have it? It's usually a want, and it's usually a high-priced want, like something very expensive in electronics. Don't be impulsive. Think about it, save up for it, and then buy it. And do not be fooled by advertising and commercials. Commercials are there to trick you. They want you to spend your money. Don't believe everything the advertisements. I know that if you're taking marketing and you're in BBA, you're saying, no, listen. No, don't listen. Not when you're budgeting, because those advertisements are there to actually fool you into thinking you need something that you don't need. Remember that when you're doing a budget, in the beginning, stick to it. And then remind yourself the benefits of sticking to your budget. Like we talk about SMART goals, remember, you can also evaluate and then be smarter and reward yourself. Save up for something to reward yourself. It could be something so small as to say, I'm going to take my family out for a picnic. Or I'm going to do X, Y, and Z after I've saved money for a long period of time. Use your credit card sparingly. Don't always just say, oh, I'll just put it on my credit card, because you're going to have to pay that debt back. Sleep on your purchases. That goes in hand with impulse purchases. Impulse and sleeping on it. Often if you go and you sleep on it, you'll say, oh, I don't need it. I'm so glad I didn't do it. And this is when you have to be very careful when you're with your friends. I love to go shopping with my daughter, and your children are great at doing this. Oh, we need this. We don't need it. Sleep on it, and you still need it. Yes, go and buy it. Respect money. And I think that's something that if somebody had told me 25 years ago, I would have actually done a lot of different things. Respect money and motivate and reward yourself. Only after you've actually stuck to your plan and you've actually budgeted correctly. Okay, now this is the part that you really, really want to listen to. If you've been listening nicely to me, I promise to tell you that I would even help you design a practical example for your personal development plan. I expect everybody who is doing this course tonight to get 100% on their financial quotient. The reason being is these are 3 examples. Ugh, and my numbers have jumped out. But this is 3 examples of how easy it is to write a SMART goal for your budgeting component. First, I commit to developing a budget for the next 10 months. In brackets, March 2025 to December 2025, using a budget template. How many of you actually heard me earlier? I said you can use any of those budgeting templates, and that's one piece of evidence. And if you wrote that goal and you stuck to it, you would get full marks. You can also use the Excel sheet that I will also put on ReGenesys, and it can actually help you do your budgeting. The other thing is, and I'm asking you nicely, you can use, a lot of us have on our phones the different banks and their applications. I happen to be with First National Bank, and I don't have any affiliation with them. I just know that if I ask them, how's my budgeting going, that they actually send me on my thing how much I had left in whatever. You know what? You can use that portion, and it usually actually shows you're still doing so much for the month. Please don't send me your bank statements. Please don't put it in the things we don't need to know. What we're trying to do, and this is we want you to grow and have financial freedom. We're wanting you to develop a budget for yourself. In one of our other sessions last year, there was somebody who actually set a goal of paying off their car 6 months early. And you know what? He successfully did it. And he actually sent me an email and he says, you know what? I went and used your budgeting template and I made it. Now for him, that's a personal goal that he's achieved. And he's also saving himself 6 months of paying off his car. Second of all, I commit to opting for a pay-as-you-go method for all my cell phone expenses until 31st December 2025. That's another SMART goal. It's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's relevant, and it's time-bound. When you use pay-as-you-go for your cell phones eat up our money like you wouldn't believe. And I know, I've done it every single one, and I've been with every single company. Pay as you go. That means that you have a certain amount, and whichever plan you're on, Cell C, Vodacom, Rain, MTN, AfriHost, you can only spend as much as you put in. It's a very good way to teach your children about budgeting. It's a very good way to show you how much money you actually spend on your cell phone. Then, the last goal. I will review my budget to realign my budgeting goals on 31st December 2025 and formulate a new budget for 2026 based on my review. Now, this third goal, why would I actually put it in? And I do apologize that you can't really interact with me tonight because we're having to be in a town hall because we have so many students. But I'll give you a reason why. The reason why you realign and you evaluate is that when you look back, you actually see where you save money. One of the biggest ways you can do your new budget is looking where you save the most, because this is the most important thing. You change your spending habits. And through all our goals, people say, why is personal mastery for 6 months? I'll tell you why it's for 6 months. The reason it's for 6 months is because it takes that long for us to change things. If you want to lose weight, for example, you take 6 months to lose 10 kgs responsibly and ethically and whatever else way. Also, you can't change things overnight. Even budgeting, as much as we all like to say it, we also remember we're human. And this is part of using the humanness part of it. And that's why we're saying personal mastery is personal development and personal growth. And the beginning for financial freedom is actually learning how to budget. It's simple. And then once you start to budget, the exciting thing is that when you do your next budget, you actually have more money to plan for where you're going to retire, where you're going to actually invest, because you've realized and you've respected money. So I want you just to think about those few things, and we will definitely take this slide out, and Melissa's going to go on and explain to you your personal development plan just now. But for now, I just want to say you guys can do it. I see we're a lot online, and as I said, we'll make sure we put everything in cycle 3 for your personal development plans, and also the recordings, the actual templates, and I'll even put the link for the Excel sheet. So please go and use it. And I'm telling you, if you do these things and you write your personal development plan, you're already aced. And I'm just giving a little thing out for ACE as well. We like to ace everything, even our financial freedom. So please listen. And please go back to ReGenesys Cycle 3 Personal Mastery. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Lisa. So we've got some questions in the Q&A, and I want to encourage students to ask any questions in the Q&A functionality, and we'll start answering some of them now. So one of the questions says, or Lee, do you want to go ahead and ask some of the questions? I see one I'm going to go into straight away. Can we use our own budgeting template if we already have one?
Absolutely. And that makes me very excited. As I said, there's no particular one that's wonderful for one person. And some of you have already started developing on your Excel sheet. Some of you have probably used it for different things. If you've had to buy a house or if you've had to buy a car, they often ask you for a budget. So yes, absolutely. And once again, please blank out the numbers. I don't need to know anything about it because, as I said, it's for you to develop. So yeah, absolutely. Any template is fine.
Okay, and then Lisa, we have another question. Just, I think it's a general question. Any advice if you don't make a lot of money? So on budgeting with a very limited income, or
you know what? That's an excellent question, and it's a difficult question. As I will say, different as you start, especially if you're a student and you're a full-time student, obviously you're not going to bring in a lot of income. And a lot of you, if you're doing an undergraduate degree, if you're doing a higher certificate, if you're doing an undergraduate degree, you're probably either just starting off working, or you have a limited amount of money for you. So that's why when I say you need to look at your variable expenses, because your fixed income, you can't change, but your variable, you have to be disciplined. And the other thing, and it's a very good thing, it's something that nobody thinks about, try and do a side hustle. I'll give you an example. My daughter does a side hustle in her normal job. She does pressed flowers, for example, and she saw a gap in the market and she just put it on Facebook and she gets word of mouth now, and she's got a little side hustle that brings in extra income for her. And that's what she uses with her extra income. She buys the things, the nice to have. And I mean, it's worked for her. Another thing is that some people start different things. Nothing stops you from thinking of something that people really need. Tutoring, for example, is a wonderful way to assist and also help you. Babysitting. And I mean, we still do it. Across the world, people still do those little side hustles just to, and if people hear about it, house sit. Do that. Pet sit. There's a lot of people that need people looking after their homes. Unfortunately, if you're in South Africa, we have a high crime rate. We don't like to leave our homes alone. People like to do it. Even if it's not a lot of money, it's a little bit that you didn't have to do. So I would look in the newspaper or online, Facebook. Also, sometimes you need to maybe sell some of your possessions that you don't actually need. One of the biggest tips, and I say it again, if you don't make a lot of money, don't try and buy the most expensive phone. Wait and reward yourself until your income is caught up with you. So those are my tips. I'm not saying I'm the expert, but those are the ones that most likely will help you.
So Lisa, we had a similar question along the same veins, but what if you're not earning any income? How do you still apply this to your this to your FQ? Can we talk about budgeting? I mean, even if you're not earning an income, you're still spending something. Can you
Yes.
put together a budget, or how should they do the SMART goals if you're not earning any income?
Okay. Now, for those of you who aren't earning an income and you're relying on maybe your parents, you're relying on whatever you're relying on, I would look at it this way. I would change my goals. I would change it for what I want to do. I would look at things that I would say that I would go and read about how in the future I could budget when I do earn. I would read articles and I would use that as my evidence. I would look at methods that of how will I be able to invest. Now, my son has only recently started working, but he's already gone and he goes on the internet all the time to say, where could he buy one stock? He doesn't actually buy the stock, but he wants to know when he wants to. And also read articles about crypto. The most advanced people in the world, they don't just go and jump out and say, oh, I'm going to do crypto. They read about it, investigate it. And that for your personal development plan, say that for me to be financial freedom, I need to go read articles about how to budget, how to do it, and take a screenshot of that. Take a screenshot, put the link into your personal development plan, and that's good enough. But you must read a certain amount of articles by a day. Make your goals specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. That's all you have to do. So it's not just doing a template.
Perfect, Lisa. Lee, any other questions that you are picking up with regards to the content of the course that we're presenting this evening? So I am going to ask if you are having us, I'm cognizant of the questions that are in the Q&A. If you have questions pertaining to the content that we are presenting this evening, feel free to put that into the Q&A. If you are having issues with regards to your scheduling and all of and anything, the confusion around the 19th, that there was an assessment due for emotional and spiritual intelligence, we did say at the beginning of the session, this is not the same course. For the LLB students, emotional and spiritual intelligence is a different course. It is a separate course from personal mastery that you need to speak to your CRC consultant. They will be able to help you with in terms of schedules and assignment due dates and all of that. So you need to speak to them about that. We are going to take a 5-minute break. It's 7 o'clock. It's close on 7 o'clock. 4 minutes to 7
Yes.
now. Lisa, 5 or 10 minutes?
I'm quite happy with the 5 minutes because
Okay.
then you can come back at just after 7, and then you know what, you can actually then go on to the pro quotient, and then
PDP.
after that, then we're going to do the PDP. So personal development plan, and that's what you're waiting for. I know that's what you all are wanting to do. I see Lee's hand is up.
Lee, there's another question.
Yes, just a question with regards to the template for FQ. Should it be a 1-month template or 6 templates for 6 months?
However you want to do it. You can, on the Excel, I actually have per month at the bottom. You can use your one. Some people do it a yearly budget because you have your expenses. I like to use a yearly one because I like to see my money go off or come in or whatever. And then when I get a little bit, and also when you see where your money is going and it's going very fast, you can readjust, especially if you have people's birthdays or there's different things. But for personal development, it's actually up to you. I only need evidence that you've actually tried to do it. But for it to work, I would go at least 6 months.
Okay. Lee, any other questions with regards to the content? The
Yeah.
session is being recorded. We will put up the presentations, the slides for last week and this week. Last week's session is up on ReGenesys already, and I'm going to take you through a quick tour after I've done ProQ on where to find things. I see that there is also commentary about class links and it not being sent to you. I'm going to talk about where you're supposed to find your class links for your different subjects as well. I want to just give that for you in general, as a general tip, so that you don't rely on getting class links from people, and where everything is on ReGenesys. You should be utilizing your ReGenesys platform for the correct class links, and developing that habit of empowering yourself with the correct information. So I'm going to show you where to find things, how to find things, and we're going to go through how we do the personal development plan as well as your portfolio of evidence. So a 5-minute break. I'm going to give you a 7-minute break, and we were going to come back at 7:05 exactly. So let me just put that up on the slide. 5-minute break, and we will rejoin at 7:05. For some of you, you might have come straight out of school and you're studying your undergraduate degree and then going into the world of work. So we've tailored the ProQ, and it's something that is specific to ReGenesys. ProQ, what is ProQ about? Professional intelligence really speaks about a set of skills, attributes, and knowledge that contribute to success in a professional context. Now, just because you aren't gainfully employed doesn't mean you don't have to act professionally. You start your professional career now. You may start a LinkedIn account, for example. You may be looking for those side hustles that will help you find employment, even if it's house sitting, dog sitting, doing whatever side hustle it is. You still need to have a professional quotient. You need to know cognitive abilities really is how do you do the job? Interpersonal skills, how do you deal with people that you come across when doing that job, and specific knowledge relevant to one's chosen field or industry. Well, that's why you're studying, right? You're doing a degree in BSc, in law, in business, whatever that may be. You are now gaining the specific knowledge relevant to the chosen industry or field that you're going into. But like I said, your professional quotient starts now. So what do we do if you don't have a job yet? You start laying the foundations for your professional quotient. And like I said, LinkedIn is something, one of the steps, and we talk about personal branding. If we look at when we spoke last week around SQ, what is your purpose? What are your values? Again, I'm bringing in the SQ and EQ, and I said to you last week, it comes into play when we talk about ProQ, because really it is about your personal brand. Who are you? What is your why? And I said to you, someone who is authentic displays the same characteristics, the values, the why, their purpose, inwardly and outwardly. The person that your family and friends see is also the same person with the same values, with the same work ethic that they present externally to their colleagues, to their fellow students, to their lecturers. And it's around finding your purpose. So you need to know what your purpose is. We said last week, do a little exercise and think about your why. What is your purpose? And then I want you to think about your strengths and weaknesses. You'll come across a term called SWOT analysis in your studies, especially for those that are doing your business studies, your BComt and your BBAs and your BPMs as well. Your SWOT analysis, your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, your threats. That SWOT analysis doesn't necessarily have to be towards a business. You can do a SWOT analysis on yourself. Where are your strengths? So I want you to think about now, where do your strengths lie? Are you a good multitasker? Are you honest? Are you reliable? Those are strengths. Are you quick at grasping concepts? What are your values? Your purpose and your values must align. To be an authentic person, to be an authentic brand, your purpose and your values must align. And when those things align, you will get what we call brand clarity, authenticity. Someone you know you can trust intrinsically because they have brand clarity. They are authentic. You'll often come across people who are more talk and no action. You get those kind of people that go, yes, yes, I'll be there for you. But I also want you to think about those people that you could call up at 3 a.m. because you're stuck on the side of the road or something has happened and you need someone who is reliable, who you can call in a bind. Those people are authentic. You need to take ownership of your personal brand. Taking ownership also means being accountable. Are you accountable? If you do something wrong or you don't do something that you promised to do you take ownership of that fact or do you start playing the blame game? And one of the things that employers look out for are people who have a good work ethic. So your strengths, obviously they're going to look for candidates who are strong in their work skill, but also strength in character. Do they take ownership for when they mess up? Does the employee's values match up with the company's values? And I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. But for you now, I want you to do a quick exercise and think about your purpose, your values. What are your strengths? When we talk about energy, we're also talking about, have you ever encountered a person who just is like an energizer bunny? They're always on the go. They're always eager to do something. They have this, let's get it done attitude. We look for those kind of people in your workplace because you know they're going to work hard. We want you to have boundless energy. Okay, you also need people who just quietly get things done. What we don't want in the workplace are what I call motion sensors. They only work when you walk past them. Or you get people who will, when you were at school, do you remember doing group projects? And if you look at group dynamics, there was always that one person that, yes, they were part of your group, but they did absolutely no work. And the rest of the group had to carry them. You don't want to be one of those people. You want to be known of having the right energy, of having the right enthusiasm, positivity in the face of adversity. It also plays into, it also affects your energy. Are you one of those people that always looks for the doom and gloom? Or are you one of those people that looks for silver linings? Positivity in the face of adversity. Okay, so what we were trying to do didn't work out so well. Okay, let's regroup, let's debrief. Let's try and work out another way to do it. That talks to your energy. So you want to know, do you have all of these puzzle pieces in your personal brand? And if there is something that doesn't quite fit nicely, you've got a puzzle piece that's maybe a bit chipped on the edges, what can you do as part of personal mastery to finesse those edges, to make sure that you have purpose, that you know what your values are, that you know what your strengths are, but you also know where your weaknesses are that you can, or your challenges are that you can improve on. Do you need to reflect and relook at your energy levels? Are you one of those moaners or are you one of those silver linings people? Do you take ownership for things when you do something wrong? All of these puzzle pieces will lead to an authentic personal brand. A personal brand is also, as a parent, you often go, do as I say, not as I do. You want to make sure that your actions also stick with what you say. You lead by example. Part of conscious leadership is leading by example. Now, I want to introduce you to the concept of ikigai. This also we spoke a bit about this. You can see more in the content section of your of SQ. Ikigai is a Japanese concept. Iki means purpose and gai means life. So it's your purpose for living, your purpose for being. And they talk about this Venn diagram around, look at what you're good at, okay? And look at what you love. Sometimes you can be good at something, but you may not necessarily love it. You may be brilliant with numbers, but you actually don't want to be an accountant. Then if where you find something that you're good at and you love what you do, that's called passion, all right? If you find something that you are good at and you can be paid for it, that's your profession. If you do what you love and the world needs it, that's your mission. You can get paid for it as well, that's your vocation. Right. And when all of those areas, your passion, your mission, your profession, and your vocation, when they all intersect, there you will find your ikigai, your purpose for being, your purpose for what career path you want to go into, your purpose for, when there's often a saying that goes, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. You need to find what that passion is. Being paid for it is absolute bonus. The world needs it. Well, you're fulfilling your mission in life. You've found your vocation. You're doing something that you're good at, that you love, that you're getting paid for, and the world needs. That is your ikigai. So think about that as you go through now. How do I craft my personal brand? What do I do? What am I good at? What do I love doing? And that is something that you could use as an intro in your LinkedIn description. I spoke about LinkedIn, and there's many social media platforms where you can look at your professional branding. And I often give this talk at schools where I talk about what you do in private, what you put out on WhatsApp groups, what you put out on your social media is all a reflection on your personal brand. So if your work persona has to do with a very ethical area, you were an accountant, you're an auditor, and you post something on the weekend, you got a little wild, and you posted something about how you managed to skim a bit off the stock in your side hustle, or you're working for a retailer and you go, look what fell off the truck. And you silly enough to post this. This will come back to bite you. What you post on social media stays with you forever. You can delete a post, but it can be refound. Nothing is ever deleted fully on the internet. So, word of warning, be mindful about what you post on social media. Your personal brand, in terms of where you work, might require you not to have certain strong viewpoints. So be careful about what kind of viewpoints that you put on social media. Twitter is often the space, or X, they now call it, showing my age, calling it Twitter still, where you can espouse and go off on a tirade. And your employers, the first thing they do when looking at your CV is they won't look at your experience, they won't look at anything. The recruiters do a full background check on your social media posting. And it goes back again to your brand clarity and authenticity. If you on your CV post that you are, that it makes yourself sound like an absolute angel and how diligent you are, but if you go onto your social media, we can see you having a party every weekend. And there's pictures of you drunkenly falling down a flight of stairs or a video of you falling, stumbling across drunkenly, is that something you would want your future employer to see? And that's what I'm talking about, brand clarity and authenticity. Make sure that whatever you post is something that your one-day employer, that you're okay with your one-day employer wanting to see. So now I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and I want you just to take a piece of paper quickly and jot down yes or no. And this is very telling in terms of, do you know who you are and what kind of personal brand you have? So the first question is, do you understand both your strengths and weaknesses? Are you mindful about your own failings and your own strengths? If you can, take a screenshot of these questions, because we're going to do another exercise with this. Can you be depended on to take care of every detail? Meaning, do you have attention to detail? Are you comfortable with change and open to novel ideas? How adaptable are you? Some of these questions that I'm going to ask you tonight, you will get asked in an interview. They obviously couch it in a different way, but they're asking you these kind of questions. Okay. Are you motivated by the satisfaction of meeting your own standards of excellence? Do you even have your own standard of excellence? Do you stay optimistic when things go wrong? Can you see things from another person's point of view and sense what matters most to him or her? Do you let clients' needs determine how you serve them? Do you enjoy helping colleagues develop their skills? Now, colleagues or other fellow students, do you enjoy helping other people develop their skills? Can you read office politics accurately? For those of you who aren't working or have never worked before, can you read a room accurately? If you go into a social situation, do you walk in and everyone's gone dead quiet? Or can you read if something feels off in a room of friends? Okay? Can you read a room? Are you able to find win-win solutions in negotiations and conflicts? Again, this is the silver lining. Are you able to find a winning solution, or are you able to negotiate to a point where you can negotiate and resolve conflict? Are you the kind of person other people want on a team? And be realistic, be honest with yourself. No one else is to see your answers. You're answering for yourself here. Are you the kind of person other people want on a team? Are you reliable? Are you usually persuasive? Can you talk someone into seeing your perspective or doing something that you want them to do? So if you've answered yes to 6 or more of these questions, well done. You regard yourself as having high emotional intelligence. Now, I asked you to take a screenshot of these questions because I want you to do an exercise. I want you to take these 12 questions and ask a family member to answer those questions about you. I then want you to take these 12 questions and ask a friend to answer these 12 questions about you. If you are in a work situation, or if you're working, if you ask a study buddy or someone who knows you in a work or a study setting to answer those questions about you. And then I want you to compare what other people say about you and what you've said about yourself. And it's a very interesting exercise on how other people see you. That question about, are you the kind of person other people want on a team? And I want you to tell those people, be brutally honest, because it's about growth. You don't know where to improve if you don't know what's wrong, right? Or you don't know where you're lacking or where you can improve. So they need to be brutally honest with you. And then I want you to take that, and this can be almost a guiding template for when you complete your SMART goals around your ProQ as well as your EQ. So this is a really nice exercise for you to do regarding how to deal with EQ. Where are my real weaknesses? Where do I need to improve? Or where are my challenges? I always talk about, don't call yourself weaknesses, rather say they are challenges. They are challenges of where to improve, on how I can improve. You may There's a very powerful word and in your vocabulary that you can use throughout your studies and throughout life. And that word is yet. It's about changing your mindset. So don't say, I can't do something. Rather say, I can't do something yet, or I don't understand it yet, because putting that word yet into the sentence is changing that negative connotation or that negative mindset and saying, I will overcome the challenge. I may not understand it now, but if I work hard or I ask someone to help me, I will be able to do it. So I don't understand it yet. I don't know it yet. I can't do it yet. Can change your mindset into a can-do attitude. The yet just means give me a little time and I'll show you I can do better. Give me a little time and I'll understand it. I'll grasp the concept. I just need to get my head around it. So that word yet is very, very powerful. Now, we talk about managing teams in terms of ProQ, and a lot of, we spoke about values and your purpose, your core values, your ethics. What happens in a work environment? So the first scenario, you know your purpose outside of work. You know your purpose in terms of the company and the purpose from your organization. And you have purpose in the work that you do. When all those three intersect, that's fantastic. That is what you want to aim for. You want to be in a company that has the same values that you have, the same purpose. You're all striving together. Now, you obviously want to aim for that scenario. What happens when you have purpose outside of work? You get purpose from work, but the purpose in the organization that you're working with is disconnected. So an example would be if you love animals, okay, you are working, you sometimes volunteer at the nearest animal shelter and you absolutely adore animals and you get purpose from the work that you do. However, the organization that you work for, say, for example, it's a cosmetics company. They test on animals, so they don't believe in the whole animal cruelty, okay? And they actively test on animals. Now, that means that their purpose and your organization are in conflict. What do you do then? You need to make sure that you're working for an organization that is in line with the purpose. If your purpose outside of work, your why, your being, and the purpose that you get from work, and the purpose that you're getting from that, and the purpose of the organization are completely separate, you are completely disengaged and disconnected. There's no alignment there. That's when you need to start looking at perhaps looking for another job, perhaps looking that the organization that you're working for isn't aligned to your purpose or doesn't fulfill your purpose. I have just got a message to say that some students' schedules say their class ends at 7:30. So I'm going to have a quick squiz through now. We're going to go straight to the personal development plan and the portfolio of evidence. I'm not sure why your class said 7:30. Some of them said 8 o'clock. So I need to just double check. We are going to carry on with the personal development plan and the portfolio of evidence. For those students that need to drop off, the recording is available. Before you drop off, I've got 3 minutes. I just want to give you some important tips. All right. The recording for this session where I go over the PDP and the portfolio of evidence, I'm going to do that now. Watch the recording. All right. Once you've watched the recording, go through the content of the different quotients. Go through your IQ, EQ, SQ, PQ, ProQ, and FQ. We are going to talk about SMART goals. Revise the section that Lisa went through last week when she spoke about SMART goals and how to craft them. We will have what we call office hours, different times during the day, after work, where learning coaches will be available to assist you in crafting your SMART goals. You need to come to those sessions with SMART goals already crafted. It's not a session for you to go, okay, do my work for me. You need to check, you need to go through the content, draft your SMART goals, and come to those support sessions. You're more than welcome to come to more than one session. It'll be hosted by different learning coaches. You can come to as many as you need. We will then also have a support session in May. So between now and May, it will give you enough time to craft your SMART goals and start gathering evidence. And I will show you again how to upload everything and what is necessary to submit in 6 months' time. Okay, so for those of you who need to drop off, you can watch the recording, and I will do this very slowly. We will also post instructions on ReGenesys on how to upload and how to complete your PDP, upload evidence, and upload your reflective essay and all of that. I'm going to take this next half an hour now to go through your PDP and your POE. And I'm going to stop sharing because I'm going to share my screen when I get to ReGenesys. Lisa, are we still good?
We're still good, but I'm not seeing anything on your screen right now. Hello? Melissa? Hello?
Lisa, I can hear you.
Okay, I don't know if Melissa can hear me.
Yeah.
Okay. Just a second.
My apologies. Can you all hear me again?
Yes, we can
Got
hear
kicked
you.
off there. Sorry, Lisa.
No, not a problem. I
My
answered yes.
apologies, everyone.
Yes, we can hear you, and then we couldn't hear you. So yes, there's nothing on the screen right now, but I'm
Yes,
sure you're going to show us.
I am going to share my ReGenesys page. So let me just get to that. All right, so everyone should be familiar with this page. This is your ReGenesys dashboard. Now, we're on personal mastery, but I actually want to show you something else before I begin. I'm cognizant of some of the comments around the fact that you weren't sent your links. And this goes back to what I was talking about, being a professional quotient and having your energy. Do you get stuff done? Do you take ownership of your own studies? And this is a talk that I have with all my undergraduate students, especially for those who come straight from school into studies. Tertiary education is very different from being at school. When you were at school, your teacher would say, take out your diaries, put in, these are your due dates. Don't forget you have a project due on X date. And your teacher will remind you over and over again that you have a project that's due. When you get to university or when you get to tertiary studies, that is not the case anymore. We stop spoon feeding you at university. And you need to take ownership of your studies. So I'm going to show you how to take ownership of your studies. Your ReGenesys platform has everything you need to take ownership of your studies. We have on your dashboard, you'll see ACE, the Academic Center of Excellence. There's something called academic writing. Use that. It will help you to write better assignments. It will help you, it'll show you how to write assignments. We often have student success workshops. Go to those. If you see on there, go in there often and see what classes do I have, what kind of workshops are there. Watch recordings. I spoke last week around utilizing your time properly. There's something in here called tools for academics, learning tools for academic success. Go into that, use that. Okay. Now, when I said taking ownership of your studies, I'm going to go into one of the foundational courses. Okay, so let's take BBA, High Certificate and HCBM. Okay. When you click on Personal Mastery, you will see some of these cycle 1 and cycle 2 has been grayed out. That's because you're not part of cycle 1 and cycle 2. You in this class are part of cycle 3, which means you came to ReGenesys in intake 5, which was October of last year, or in January, February this year. You just had your orientation. You are in cycle 3. If you see any other cycle on your dashboard, ignore it. It is not for you. You only focus on cycle 3. When you click on the General tab, here are your class links. Here's the class link for last week. Here's the class link for tonight. You need to take ownership and find your class links. I'm going to show you where to find class links on your other subjects as well. Okay. It is up to you. All of these class links are posted on ReGenesys. It is better to go on to class via the link that's on ReGenesys, because then you're not sharing or using an incorrect link that your friend might have found. It was passed on to them by the wrong cohort, and now you're sitting in the wrong class because someone else is in cycle 2 and they think you should be in cycle 3 as well. And that goes for the same thing. Make sure that you know which cohort you are in, because I also see in the question and answers that someone's saying, oh no, your fellow students were supposed to be in legal English. Legal English is tomorrow night, guys, not tonight. And I'll show you on ReGenesys now, if we go into the LLB, where to find your class links as well. Okay, so it's important that you go to your links for your classes through ReGenesys. The previous class recordings are also posted on ReGenesys. For Personal Mastery, they sit under General, Cycle 3, because it's General, your class links. The slides from last week and tonight will be put up here as well. When you click on previous class recordings, there is the recording of the class that we held last week. Underneath this, after tonight, the editors will work their magic and they will put tonight's recording underneath this as well. And it's always dated. So the class last week, 10th of February, 2025. Here is the class recording. Tonight's one will be underneath that. Okay. You will go through the content. IQ, PQ, FQ, SQ, EQ, ProQ. There is tons of content in here for you to go through, for you to maybe get some inspiration around your SMART goals. If there's something that you weren't clear on, a certain concept, it is all in here. We have given you the highlights. Again, at university, we don't read every single word in your textbook. We give you highlights. We point you in the right direction. We expect you to do pre-reading before you come to class, if you can. We expect you to ask the questions in class around concepts that you may not understand. Lisa spoke about the 7 C's of student success, and one of them is about communicating. If you don't understand a concept in class, make sure you ask the question. Don't leave it till the next week. Don't leave it till it's the exam time or the assignment time and you've suddenly become so behind, you've fallen so behind because you haven't communicated. But make sure that you're communicating succinctly. Make sure that you're asking the right questions in the correct platform. Some of your questions tonight, I said right in the beginning, ask questions regarding content that you may have, content questions. If Lisa or I spoke about a specific area that you may not understand, like you did with FQ, you were asking about budget templates, you were asking, what if you don't have a job? What if you don't have enough income to cover your expenses? Those are content-related issues. Direct your questions to the correct person or the correct platform. All right. Then we get to your personal development plan. This is what I said right in the beginning. There are no assignments for this. There are no tests for personal mastery. What you will be doing is setting SMART goals. And when you go into personal development plan and portfolio of evidence, we remind you what a SMART goal is. It's specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound for each quotient, all right? You cannot copy each other's works because you are all individuals, you are all unique. You all have different strengths and weaknesses and hopefully different goals. I also said right in the beginning, you will only get out of this personal mastery what you put in. So self-reflection is required. Now, how does this work? It is for marks. It is 5 credits. You have to do personal mastery. You have to complete it in order to graduate. So this is a mark breakdown. It's out of 100 marks. For each quotient, you're going to do this activity. You're going to list your strengths. You're going to list your weaknesses or challenges. You're going to put down 1 or 2 SMART goals for IQ. You're going to have to do activities to reach that goal. So 1 or 2 activities, there's your mark. You're going to have to document you having done those activities or achieved those goals. That is your evidence. That is worth 3 marks. And this is the same for every single quotient, all right? So it's 13 marks for IQ, 13 marks for EQ, SQ, PQ, FQ, and ProQ, all right? This is money for JAM. This is the easiest subject that you can get a distinction for. This subject will help you if you're one of those borderline students of whether getting a cum laude, a distinction, or passing or failing. This can push your overall average to pass or fail. And if you get a distinction in this subject, it's easy as pie if you put the work into it. Your reflective essay is exactly what it is, a reflective essay. It is a reflection on your journey. How did I find personal mastery? Well, I set a goal of running 5Ks every weekend, and then I broke my ankle. And how did it make me feel? I had to readjust my goals midway through. I had to learn to walk again, breaking my ankle badly. And in that 6-month period, I've had to readjust my goals. I've had to readjust my thinking. I had to readjust my physical goals because I couldn't be as physical as I wanted. It also had a negative impact on my finances because I needed to budget for more medical expenses. So my finance goals might have changed. You're allowed to adjust your goals because part of good goal setting is also being realistic and measurable. Well, I can't measure my goal anymore because my goal is actually a non-starter, right? So put all of that into your reflective essay. Your marks are not bound by achieving or not achieving your goal, meaning you cannot fail the course because you haven't achieved the goal. You would then put in the evidence that you were trying to achieve the goal. And in your reflective essay, you would say, why didn't I achieve this goal? Where are my pitfalls? Because again, what we are looking for is introspection. Can you see where you may have fallen off the wagon, where you were diverted, where you were distracted? Your goal was to save 10,000 Rand in 6 months, but you went on a wobbly and went on a shopping spree. You got caught by Temu or Shein and just spent a whole lot of money on there, and you didn't get to save the money that you were wanting to save. Well, what lesson did you learn from that? That's what you would put into your reflective essay. I'm going to go quite slowly in this next section because I'm going to show you how to actually complete this. Okay. Now, we put this in red because it is important. Do not press submit if you only want to save progress. You will only press the submit button closer to the due date because your goals have not been achieved. So in 5.5 months' time, that is when you press submit. All right, do not press the submit button until you have everything ready, until all of these things has been completed. Only then do you click submit, because once you click submit, you can't go back. And then it's a big mission to try and reset you, and you'll probably have to redo your work all over again. Okay, so do not press submit if you only want to save the progress. You can come out, and I'll show you how to come out. The system saves your work automatically, meaning you just need to go out of the system and it will save everything. And you can go back in and keep adding to it. You can keep changing it, but as long as you don't click submit. The rubric. This explains how the mark allocation is done. In every assignment that you do, it has a rubric, and you want to look at your rubric because you obviously want to look at what is excellent. What do I need to do to achieve those full marks? So we talk about your strengths. All the strengths are carefully considered and relate to IQ. Weaknesses. All your weaknesses are carefully considered and relate to IQ. Goal setting. Your goals are clear and carefully considered and adhere to the SMART goal principles, meaning the goal that you set out is specific, is measurable, is achievable, is realistic, is time-based. If it has those 5 principles, it is a SMART goal. You will get full marks for that goal. The activities relate to the goal that you set. All the activities are carefully considered and directly promote the achievement of your SMART goal. Now, your evidentiary proof is exactly that. It is 1 or 2 pieces of evidence. It could be a screenshot if you were wanting to run 5Ks. It could be a screenshot of your time of one of the races that you did. It could be a before and after if you were wanting to lose weight. It could just be a picture of the scale of your before and after reading. If your SMART goal is something that you cannot see extrinsically, meaning you can't actually touch or feel or see it, you can't photograph it, you can write a small motivation. So that could be something to do with your SQ, for example, or your EQ. And you can write your SMART goal and then write a small motivation that is acceptable evidentiary proof. A few lines around your what you set out to do and the activity around you set of your SMART goal. So you can write a small motivation around that as well. Okay. Then go through this rubric. It's the same thing for IQ, EQ, for all your different quotients, okay? I want you to look at it carefully. Make sure you are using this rubric when answering, because you always want to aim for the excellent comment. And whenever you see a rubric around your assignments, always look at the rubric. Look and see where the examiners are or the markers are giving you the marks. We use this rubric to mark your work in assignments and in personal mastery. Okay. We will be sending out a step-by-step guide on how to do all of this in terms of like where to click and what to do. So that will be put up on ReGenesys as well. It'll be under the general tab, and it will be under this section here. You'll see instructions on how to complete the PDP. But I'm going to show you now what needs to happen. So you need to do this for every single quotient. You can see they're set up as different quizzes, okay? And there is a reflective essay where you were going to complete it. You complete everything on the system. You do not download anything. You do not put anything on a Word document no template. So if you have friends in previous cycles, don't listen to what they say. You are cycle 3. You only listen to instructions that were given directly from Lee or in the session now. You're going to click on IQ. Right, again, we put that sign. Do not press submit if you only want to save progress. What you're going to do now is you're going to continue. Okay, you're going to click on attempt. Over here, you will see goal 1, goal 2, goal 3. I'm going to go back to the previous page because I actually attempted this. And you're allowed to go back and forth. So you can go back to page 1 or you can go to the next page. Okay. This is what page 1, question 1 looks like. You need to identify 2 to 3 key weaknesses you have in relation to academic and thinking skills. And inside this box, here's a text box. You're going to click on here. So one of the weaknesses, you can say, I don't read enough. Okay. Another key weakness is I often procrastinate. Okay, so you're going to type in your 3 key weaknesses. Okay, when you go to the next page, whatever you put in the previous page is saved. My key strengths, I write. Right, whoopsie. So here we go. I'm putting in my key strengths. Here is your navigation. I want to make it a little bit bigger. There we go. You'll see next page. If you want to go back to your weaknesses, you go previous page. So it's like a book, page forward, page back. You then need to put down your SMART goal. You'll see here, you need to have at least 1 goal. Goal 2, goal 3 is optional. Obviously, if you want more marks, you want to do goal 1, goal 2, and goal 3. But at the bare minimum, you have to put a SMART goal. So all I'm going to write in here is SMART goal. Okay. And make sure that your goal is to do with IQ. We're talking IQ here. So don't talk about in IQ, I want to lose 5 kilos. That's a PQ goal, not an IQ goal. Make sure your goals relate to academic and thinking skills. So we've now set our goals. Okay. Now we need to know what are the activities undertake to achieve those goals. So you're going to retype goal 1. And my first goal for IQ, well, my weakness was that I don't read enough. So my goal is to read 1 book a month for the next 6 months. Okay, now let's do a check. Am I being specific? Yes, I'm talking about reading 1 book a month for the next 6 months. Is it measurable? Yes, I can measure whether I've read a book or not. Is it realistic? No, is it achievable? Absolutely. Reading 1 book a month is completely achievable, depending on how thick the book is. Is it realistic? Absolutely. Is it time-based? Yes, I've already said 1 book a month. And it's specific, 1 book a month. There's my time-based.
I think we might have
Lisa,
lost.
can you still hear me?
You dropped there for a second. I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry about that. I have a massive storm rolling in. Okay, now your evidence gets dragged and dropped in here like you would drag and drop a file.
Okay, I'm not sure if Melissa's having issues because of the storm in Gauteng, but what she's trying to show you is that you can actually drag from your actual screen and your computer in a drag and drop into those files. And unfortunately, I can't kick her off this session. Let's see if I can get her back.
Okay,
Okay,
can you hear me?
I can hear
I'm so
you.
sorry about that. I have a massive storm rolling in, and I think it's just creating havoc there. So sorry about that, guys. Let me reshare my screen. Okay, everyone still see me, Lisa? We're still good?
We're still good.
Okay, so this area here is drag and drop. You're going to put your evidence in here of the activities that you're doing. Okay. All right, so that, can you still hear me?
Melissa, we can hear you. Your screen has gone off, but we can still hear you.
Can you still hear me?
You're gonna make me giggle. I can still hear you. I think our people can still hear you as well. Your screen has disappeared. Okay. As we wait for Melissa, I'm going to take
I'm
a
back.
few. You're back. Okay.
Sorry.
Melissa, I am going to allow you
Yep.
time to get back and see if you can put back on screen. I'm going to take a few of the questions so that we can just go through them quickly because we have about 4 minutes left. Most of them are saying they can't. They said that the screen hasn't changed. Let me tell you, the screen has changed. You'll have to go watch the recordings. Okay. Some of the questions are, what evidence should we upload? I'm going to tell you again. You can use any type of evidence that supports what you say in your goal, in your SMART goal. For example, let's use the physical quotient that you want to start running 5 kilometers. If you and for the next 3 months, and you give specific dates, that would be your SMART specific goal. Your evidence can be your track, like whatever you do on your smartwatch, on your phone, how you track it. It can be your picture of your running shoes or you with your running club. Some of you will join running clubs. I've had evidence of people who have done Tai Chi in their class and they've sent pictures of their classes and whatever. It is very personal, so it'll only be on your personal portfolio of evidence. Remember, in personal mastery, we talk about a personal development plan and your portfolio of evidence. A portfolio is anything that supports you with evidence. And remember, we talked about it in the very first session. You must ground your decisions in evidence. And so we were asking you to provide the evidence. That's why we said with financial, use a budget. You could even take a picture you could even put the F&B logo if that's your thing. It's just an evidence to say this is what supporting what you're saying. The other reason why we say it's a portfolio, you will not get an assignment, any other assignment. It's a portfolio. It goes on and on. And your reflective essay is part of your portfolio. And sometimes you get confused. Personal mastery, it's a reflective essay. And Melissa often says to you that you don't even have to like this course. You can actually hate it. The only thing in your personal reflective essay that you must say is if you hated it, why you hated it, or if you didn't see a benefit, why you didn't see a benefit. It has to be, you have to ground your decisions with evidence and your statements. You can then also say, there's been several that have said we didn't see any point in it, and then they changed halfway through. They started doing it when they had to collect. They saw then the worthwhile. And then some people will say this has changed their life in X and X and Y. And some will say, I want to go even further. I want to do the next level. How can I push myself? It's all personal. It's called a personal reflective essay. The only thing we ask for is that you have an introduction, that you have a main body, and that you have a conclusion so that we can read what it is. If you're talking in your reflective essay about achieving your academic skills, for example, that you've never achieved an 80% and now you have, and you're talking about it, please don't then say that I found that IQ very exciting and I was able to run 30 kilometers. It doesn't make sense. You're not going to get the marks. It's not, and we do read it. And that's what I was going to say. We do read it and we do mark it, but it's actually to give you the skills to develop. Okay. I don't know if Melissa, you might want to just show them. I see you're back on screen. Just to show them one more time where the evidence is, because a lot of people are saying they're missing the evidence.
Okay. So I'm going to show you. This is the reflective essay section that Lisa was talking about. So you're going to type everything in. You don't need the headings introduction, conclusion, body, conclusion. All right. Type it like you would. What we do ask for is that you do a spell check. You that you observe basic grammar. So start with a capital letter, end with a punctuation mark. Make use of punctuation and just make sure that you don't have any spelling errors in there, and that it's a coherent essay. You can make use of your formatting. Everything is available on here, and you will basically type your essay into the section here. If you want to put in evidence as well, this is your evidence bucket. Okay, it's a drag and drop, and you can add files in here. I'm just going to go back one and show you in your PDP. So you'll notice that I've chopped and changed, and I've gone into the different quotients, and I never clicked submit at any point. Okay, I'm going to go back into IQ, and this is what you will see. Once you started putting things in, you'll see continue the last preview. And you're going to go back in. I was in question 4. I was putting in activities before I lost you there. Here is question 4 is where you put the evidence in. Here is the folder. You're going to put evidence regarding IQ, academic and thinking skills, into the folder to do with IQ. If you put a screenshot of your water intake, because one of your goals for PQ is to drink 2 liters of water every day, and you do a screenshot of your water count and you put it into IQ, you won't get a mark for it because it's got nothing to do with IQ. Okay, it's got nothing to do with the goal that you set 1, 2, or 3, or the activities around your goal. So make sure that you're putting the evidence in the correct folder. Another thing is all evidence needs to be in a PDF format. Please make sure that you put things in a PDF. So even if you take a picture, just convert it to a PDF, please, because pictures are often, or PowerPoint presentations, if you're so inclined, it takes up a lot of space, and you need to make sure that everything is in a PDF so that it doesn't take up too much space and you're able to upload everything. Okay, Do not click on finish attempt. Finish attempt means you are ready to submit. All you're going to do is once you've done this, you could be putting in your goal, you're putting in your activity, and all you do is go out of this by clicking on your breadcrumbs over here. Go back to your personal development plan and say leave. Your changes are saved in here. Okay. I can't see the questions that are going through the chat. Lisa, any questions? We will give detailed instructions regarding how to upload and what to do. So you can send, we will post those up there. Lee has also put in personalmastery@regenesys.net. That is the email address if you have any issues regarding your PDP or your POE or your reflective essay. If you are experiencing access issues, meaning cycle 3 is grayed out on ReGenesys, you need to let your CRC person know so that it can get you onto the correct cycle. It means you've been put into the incorrect cycle for whatever reason, or that you don't have access to cycle 3. So again, I repeat, you are cycle 3 if you are intake 5, you came to ReGenesys in October last year, or you started in the beginning of 2025, you are cycle 3. Do not listen to any other students who are in different cycles. Do not listen to what they've done, or when they have classes, you only follow cycle 3. Okay, Lisa, last words. It's 8:05. We apologize. We have got 5 minutes over time. But any other questions and last words, Lisa?
Melissa, they say they can't see anything,
I've
but
just
I
stopped
could
sharing.
see.
I've literally
No,
just stopped sharing now.
No, but they say from before. There's a lot of people who say they can't see. I'm going to suggest you go to ReGenius and we will actually do it. Melissa, we might even put a how-to video and we'll circulate.
The instructions are also, we've put, Lee's done a really good job of step-by-step instructions with screenshots and all of that. So they will have access to that as well.
We'll send out a thing from Personal Mastery and we'll send it to all the SRCs and CRCs.
And we will post it on ReGenius.
And we will post it on ReGenius. So not to worry, you will be shown how to do it. Under general, we will do it. And Melissa did show you earlier that it is there. I have seen a lot of students say they cannot see cycle 3. We will then speak to the technical people and please send your qualification and your intake and your reg
name
number.
And surname and your reg number.
Your name, surname, and your reg number, because you might have been enrolled on one of the different systems. Not a problem. We will get you right. If you are from intake 5, which is October 2024, or intake 1, which is now February 2025, you will be in cycle 3. If it is still grayed out, we will speak to those who are responsible for that. We apologize, but it is beyond our ability, but we will ask the technical people to please open it. And once it is open, you will be able to see anything else. There's been a few questions about ACE. If you're a registered ReGenesys student, you automatically are enrolled onto ACE. If you cannot see it on your dashboard, then please send an email to ace@regenesys.net and it'll be the same thing. We will ask the technical people to open it and we will ensure that you can do it. ACE does not charge anybody anything to do their courses. It's there as a value add for our current enrolled students, the Straight Academic Center of Excellence. And with that, I'm going to remind you that I would love you to have a marvelous Monday. Thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you to Melissa and thank you to Lee. And we wish you well.
Lisa.
And we will be in touch. So please, the recording will be up. Give our technicians a few hours, 24 hours to get it up on the system. They're very, very promptly get it there. And we will then answer all questions. Have a beautiful night from all of us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.